That's a good feeling. I'd go with that feeling. Maybe it breaks your congressman. I've tried that. It doesn't get you anywhere. Start at the D. They'll file it. They'll get it bloody. Just kidding. So, I heard as I walked around some really interesting critiques of the data collection method. I love them all. Let me hear some of them. In the back, you guys first. What was one of the things we noticed potentially could have been a bias in our data collection?
Well, we seem to get used to each other's energy after a while.
Almost like you can predict based on what's already happened. That's why I try to control for that by not letting you tell them how they're doing. Kind of like we turned the stopwatch away from the person last time so that the person doesn't know how they're doing so they can't learn. I was trying to get learning out of it and trying to focus just on that. That doesn't mean I did a good job of doing it. It just means I did a better job than not thinking about it at all. Kate, go ahead.
I don't know if it worked for everybody, but he's kind of a big guy that generates a lot of heat, and it was just like...
You could tell. Yes, that is a critique in the articles I've read about. I've seen similar experiments done. But the ones, I was telling these guys in the back, the ones that I've seen done involve large blocks that arms go through, almost like a clean box looking thing, where the experimenter is completely invisible and there's like a buzz happens, like, and that's when you have to predict what hand is over which hand. But body heat is one of the things. You could confuse body heat with this energy field, especially if you're not supposed to, if you don't know what it actually is. JC, go. Thank you.
Took a holistic wellness class.
Good.
Last year sometime.
Awesome.
And we all had to do like a project, and somebody chose this as their topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that before we did it, we had a speaker come in who helped us practice on each other in the class. And we meditated before, so you're supposed to be very calm, very very quiet. Yeah.
Like the exact opposite of this guy.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And then before person A, felt around for person B, because you're supposed to feel where the energy is coming from, and that's where like your body is having an issue with. So like I have back problems, so they felt it around my back. And so before we did that, with person A, you're supposed to stand here and you're supposed to rub your hands together so you can create that energy and hold your hands kind of like this, so you know what it feels like to feel the energy between your hands.
I got you.
And then so when I know what this feels like, I'll know what this feels like.
Like a magnet almost. Oh, okay, thank you. I have never. That's phenomenal. I wish I had read that beforehand. It's about 3 pages long, but that's good. Again, it's a problem with my experimentation technique because again, not knowing anything about it, I'm just trying to minimize biases. But thank you, JC. I hadn't thought about it. Acupuncture works similarly. I'm going to murder this, I know, probably. But acupuncture is a 2,000-year-old medicine, probably similar to this one, I would imagine. And the idea is when you have pain in your body, it's a backup of, chi, I believe? There's a blockage of the chi flow. And the idea is the needles are supposed to free that and allow it to flow freely. And again, no statistical backing for this at all, other than just pure belief. But the 2 times I've used it for allergies, it works great. And the other time was I slipped on the ice, because I wear Crocs, as you see almost every day. And I slipped on the ice my first year here at COCC, and I had this ridiculous pain in my lower, down here. And it hurt like hell for 3 weeks, and I would stretch it out and do yoga, but the pain never went away. And finally my wife's like, you should go to acupuncture. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I went for 3 weeks, pain went away. They did acupuncture plus cupping, which is really, really cool if you've ever done that. Cupping's amazing, totally amazing.
Did they light it on fire?
Yes! And I couldn't see because I was face down. You had this little match strike, and then you feel your skin pull up. It pulls up into this cup, and it sucks the skin up, and you get these big hickeys on your back. It's really kind of cool. Very relaxing. Within 3 weeks, pain's gone. As it turns out, this gives you an idea of how, if it's placebo, you can rate it with this. I ripped the muscle off the tendon.
Ew.
It's still not connecting. Like I went to my physical, I turned 40, I figured I'd start going on annual now, so 40. And he's like, he had me turn around, my shirt off, he's like, what's this down here? And he pointed, I'm like, I don't know, I can't see it. And he drew a circle with a Sharpie and took a picture of it. And there's a hole right here that's not right here. And I had to think about it. I'm like, oh my God, 10 years ago I slipped. And he's like, you ripped your muscle off of the tendon. And acupuncture actually took that pain of a ripped muscle and soothed it to the point where it could then heal itself. It healed some other way, I guess. But I mean, so placebo maybe, but I got a freaking flapping whack that doesn't hurt anymore. So.
I wonder what the percentage of how if it works for people or not, because I've done acupuncture numerous times and it didn't do anything.
And there's nothing for you.
But I mean, I had surgery, so that's why.
And also
there's a bigger issue.
Well, no, of course. I mean, I think there's limitations to any medicine. I mean, and it depends on how you define work. See, I've erased it now,
yeah.
but is it work or is it work? See, I'm not putting things that aren't on the board anymore, but is it work, yes or no? Or is it work varying degrees of how well it worked? Like I'm completely pain-free, or I can get through the day with slight pain. I don't know. That's where it starts getting tricky. Whenever you ask someone to do Likert scale analyses, you have to question the data because it just can get slippery about. I just read, I keep reading these more recent articles about how they ask parents. Apparently in Time magazine about 3 months ago there was an article, childless couples are happier than couples with children. And then it goes on to contradict that headline within, saying that women are happier when they have kids. And it's the most, it's incredible bunch of data, all of which you can ignore. Because the entire thing is based on Likert scales.
It also sounds like what they're saying is that the relationship between the husband and wife is good, but that's because there's nothing else pulling.
Well,
But the mother is totally happy if she has a child.
but you have to define totally happy and good. And when you look at the research methodology, it's all based on scales of 1 to 5. And then I heard an NPR podcast about a week ago where a statistician or a psychologist was critiquing that article, saying, when you're a parent, you really can't go with a 1 to 5 scale. You have to have the Spinal Tap scale that goes to 11. And in my heart of hearts, I love that because I love Spinal Tap. But at the same time, what difference if it goes 1 to 11 or 1 to 5? It's still opinion. It's not like it's a measure. It's not like you guys, yes, are you correct, or no, are you wrong?
What level is your pain at between 1 and 10?
It's tough.
Oh, shit.
It's tough. It's tough. What's an 8? What's a 6? Of course you do. Variability. And that's the problem with any Likert scale kind of analysis. Always check to see the survey instrument. And if it goes back to a Likert scale, you can realize that whatever inference they're doing on it. This is all inferential. We're gonna infer something from your data right now. But I think we can actually do that legitimately because we've got good numbers. You either got it right or you didn't. It's not an opinion. I'm going to give it to you. No, if they got it wrong, they got it wrong. It's not a judgment, it's just an observation. So that's the trick versus a Likert scale, sliding scale opinion almost, versus a measurement or observation. Yeah, JC?
So as long as, I mean, I still have a pain tolerance, like a high pain
Of course,
tolerance,
yes.
so as long as it's me answering my question of what my pain is, each time I can still compare within,
You can.
for me, but
You
I
can.
can't compare me to you because I don't know what your pain tolerance
But
is.
for the doctor, it's absolutely pointless to
Yeah.
answer that question unless he has worked with you like
Yes.
literally every time.
But they
What-
need
what
to
you-
know if you're unbearable or not.
See,
you know.
this,
Yeah, well, I mean,
you
like,
guys are hitting on something very important here.
I would say, because my brother was,
20 years.
we all have extremely high pain tolerances in our family.
Yes.
And so he goes in, oh, how bad's your migraine, how bad's this?
2.
You know, 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And the doctor's kind of just, oh, whatever. And I was like, I looked at him and I stopped him in the hallway. I was
Of
like,
course.
our family has an extremely high pain tolerance. That's probably a 7 or an 8 to
You
somebody
can't,
else.
right, you can't look at the averages. We're not in that set. It's 2 different bell curves,
Yeah.
if you will, 2 different curves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And that's the
I
difference
hate that.
between when you can ignore statistics and when you can go. For example, I mean, this is a silly example, but what do you think, I've asked you this before, what's the chance if you lose your wedding ring in the snow? And the OSU, have I told you this before? This story?
but my husband did that a couple of months ago.
Okay, so if you lost your wedding ring in the snow in the OSU Cascades parking lot, what's the chance? And this is in a real winter, not this winter. This is ridiculous what I'm right now. In a good winter with good snow, what's the chance you're gonna find that ring?
Have you had this happen to you?
Yes. Not me personally, a
You
friend.
yourself find it or somebody else find it for you?
Either.
Snow melt?
We'll go with
or
either.
snow's still
No,
there?
the snow is there the entire time. It's a heavy winter, it keeps snowing, they keep plowing, they keep moving things around. What's the chance? Give me an approximate. Give me a value. 10%, 0%. You're not gonna find it. 1%, 2%.
Yeah.
Happen to a buddy.
It depends. Did
It does depend.
Did they lose it and then that moment go, oh, I lost it, and go
No,
find it? Or
he
later that
was
day?
clearing, it was a freak snowstorm, 8 inches dumped during class. He went out, he didn't have the right snow gear in his car, so he's clearing the hood and the windshield with his wedding ring hand.
Oh.
Ring flew off somewhere, didn't notice until he got home to Redmond.
Did he know where he lost it?
He knew where he was parked. But I mean, if you're doing like this, who knows where it goes? He checked inside the car, maybe it went into the firewall.
A
Didn't.
lot, and then off on the freeway somewhere.
So he comes and sees me. He's taking my 243 class this time. Taking my 243. He's actually graduating with his bachelor's this spring. I'm totally excited. Calls me, comes in the next day. He's like, dude, this happens. Like, no problem. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out and look real quick. If we can't get it, I'm gonna get a metal detector. We're gonna go out there, we're gonna find the damn thing.
You have a metal
No, but I could borrow one. So I sent an email out. One of the guys in IT does. So I'm like, I'm feeling pretty studly. Got a metal detector. I'm like, I'm gonna find that damn ring. Turn it on. It's right here, Jim. We go look. What the hell? It's not there. Turn it on. Try it again. There is iron in the ground in Central Oregon. Just so you all know. If you ever want to use a metal detector in Central Oregon, don't even bother. There's everything. You're gonna find everything. When I say everything, you're gonna find the dirt. So metal detector out. We're back to square one. Just looking for a friggin' ring with eyes. So what we would do was we would go back out every day. We would go, each of us, I'd go in the morning when I got here, he'd go in the afternoon when he got here, and we would just check. We just look. We'd kick around certain areas. We'd dedicate a certain like 6x6 area and go look. Within 3 weeks, they plowed a second time. So we had to go back and start all over again because we had no idea where the ring was. So we developed kind of a systematic search plan. 3 months later, he found it. It had moved not that far from his car, but it was probably buried in a bunch of crap and dirt and stuff that eventually got turned over. So the question is, it's a 100% chance that we're going to find it because we did. But how many people would do that? That's where JC's point is a good one and Kate's point is a good one. The average might not apply to you if you don't satisfy like the average person. Would the average person, my buddy Joe lost his ring in the ocean, wedding ring, on his honeymoon. He was down in Hawaii or something. In fact, he was about 20 feet offshore, and he looked at his hands like, "Ooh," and he looked. I was like, "Did you dive for it?" He's like, "What? Like, did you dive for it? It's 20 feet down. Put a snorkel on and dive." He's like, "It's 20 feet." I'm like, "Yes, it's 20 feet. Dive." And he's also a chain smoker, so I mean, it would be hard to dive 20 feet. But you're on Hawaii. Hire somebody to do it. I mean, how much are you willing to do to get something done? And that's where you can't necessarily compare an average. So although I love these analyses, sometimes they fall flat when you start applying them to your actual life. You're like, sometimes life is bigger than stat, obviously, because you have to look at it more one-to-one. Anecdotal is actually better than statistical, depending on your situation. Fair enough? Good, thank you for that. There was one other potential bias that Skylar mentioned, and it was what? Go ahead.
I tended to listen to where her voice was. It's on the right side or the left side of my body than I feel.
Yeah, this is an easy one to inadvertently not realize you're doing. If you're leaning while you're putting a hand on, you could turn your head and your voice could appear louder in one ear than... Now, most of you probably didn't even notice that, which is fantastic. I did it in 105. Remember the Monty Hall doors that I brought to 105? So you guys at 243 never saw it, but I built a set of Monty Hall doors and I had a lollipop in them. We played this game, Find Lollipop. And people could tell me, I used a TI to randomize where the lollipop was, and I would duck down behind the doors, put the lollipop in, and then pop up. And be like, what door is it behind? Trying to be very, very, very careful about where I put it. I've been told by certain students that my feet do certain things depending on where the lollipop is. No idea that I was doing that.
I can see that.
I can see it too. I mean, it's me. But like, the idea was I didn't realize I was doing it. Somebody else told me when I think they can hear me playing drums in my teeth. I mean, it's part of being ADD, obviously. But it's also little subconscious cues that you have to control for in an experimental situation. So I want to ignore all that stuff, not because it's not valuable, it's extraordinarily valuable. You have to look at all that stuff. But I want to focus mostly on, does the results of our experiment look like the touch therapy energy field actually exists? So let's see. Thank you for all those are wonderful. So what I want to do right now is there's a backside